And so welcome back to the fishery tour, guys, and what a place we are found ourselves here at the amazing Spring Rock Fishery, tucked away in the rolling hills of Wales. What an amazing venue this is. It's got islands, it's got bays, it's got reeds, and you are tucked away in the middle of nowhere. It is stunning, stunning countryside, and I'm definitely going to enjoy the next couple of days here. More importantly, it's got those things as well. It's got some beautiful pods that you can fish from. Now, when I first arrived here, I had all intent and purposes of being in the bivvy, and then the owner, Andy, was like, "What? Why are you going in your bivvy? Just use one of the pods." So I snapped his hand off and I was straight in one of the pods. I don't mind that either, but it's typical sort of spring weather. You're getting sort of 15, 16 degrees in the daytime, nice and sunny, and then nighttime it's plummeting back down to sort of 2 degrees again. So your typical sort of spring weather, but the fish I've definitely woken up. They're not bang at it, but there's definitely a chance of a bite or two. Seen a few poke their head out while I've been here. When I first got here, I got on the zig straight away because it's mega high pressure today, lovely and sunny. Saw a few sort of backs out of the water, warming up in those sort of higher thermoclines. So whacked out one of the zigs to an area where I've seen a few, and then the other rod as well. I've just put that on a solid bag, a bag that I've made up at home, and just flicked that just past the island there. So that's how we're playing out this afternoon while I got all my kit sorted. I'll then go back into the pod in a minute, sort my stuff out for the night time, probably get a few areas with a little bit of bait in the hope that we can snare a fish while we're here. So as ever on these fishery tours, tomorrow morning I'm going to be reeling in the rods, running around the whole venue, showcasing you all the swims, the other pods, areas of the lake, facilities, to give you a better idea of what you can expect when you arrive here at Spring Rock. So I'm going to stop me waffling and go and put the kettle on, and we'll catch up with you shortly. Well, here we are on the veranda, on my porch of the pod. Very, very sleek. Don't be alarmed if you're thinking, where's Henry? What's Henry looking? Henry hasn't had a body transplant. This is Shep, which is the resident sort of fishery hound here at Spring Rock, and the reason why no dogs are allowed here. This is Shep's domain. He's mad about fishing, hence with me behind the rod, so he's got the job of Henry for the next couple of days. So I'm just going to bring you up to date with what I'm going to sort out tonight. It's getting on for sort of 3 o'clock in the afternoon now, and I'm just looking at areas that I want to apply a little bit of bait. Obviously the fish have woke up, but they're not bang at it, so just trying to entice that bite. It might just be a couple of mesh bags. I've got some reeds to my right hand side here, which is off the back of the wind. Even though it's a beautiful sunny day, that wind, there's a bit of a bite in the air, so that's quite sheltered, that area there off that high bank. So there's some reeds. I'm going to come about 6 foot off the reeds, which will put me in about 5 foot of water, and I fancy just putting a little bit of bait out there. I'm going to nip round there and just a couple of scoops, you know, of just a little bit of sort of the mainline party mix with some 10mm link, load of liquid to entice a bite from that area. And then I've already sort of wrapped it up. It's 11 wraps to that corner. So I'm going to ping that out in the hope we can get one from that area. And then the sort of left hand rod, I'm either going to go left or right of this island here. I haven't quite decided. It's quite firm round it. It doesn't sort of peter off. It's quite a straight island. So I'll be in the same sort of depth of water. It might be about 6 foot to the right of that at the moment. So I fancy that there, and I'm literally just going to put that on a solid bag. I'm going to reel that one in and put a fresh one out for the night. And that's how we're going to play out for the first evening. So without further ado, let's get to work, get the bait out and get the rods ready for the evening ahead. Well, good evening guys, just a bit of an evening update of where we're at. Clocks went forward last night, so it's quite nice to be sat out behind the rods, and it's nearly 7:15, which is just awesome to have that sort of time again. So yeah, due to get dark at around 8 o'clock, so about 45 minutes left of light, and nothing to report. Very, very quiet this afternoon. We've had another guy turn up who's gone opposite me in the lodge on the other bank. It's fine because we've got islands in between us and whatnot, so he's sort of fishing quite close, and he's got one just tucked down in that bottom bay. So if anything, if there's any fish down there now, I imagine it'll just help move the fish about. I think sometimes when you fish in a lake on your own, it goes against you, the fish move off and you're in no man's land. So hopefully having someone that other side of the lake now will be able to bounce the fish in between each other. So that is how we're going to play out for the night. Obviously I was quite happy with how the rods went out, so they're good for the morning. In that time until then, it's a case of fingers crossed, and hopefully one of those two rods rattle off for us and we can have a carp before we have to reel in and then run around the whole venue tomorrow morning for you. So yeah, if anything happens through the night, I shall keep you posted. If not, I will see you in the morning. Folks, and welcome to a proper misty, foggy, pretty nippy morning if I'm honest, hence the old bobble hats back on and the thermal jacket. It dropped pretty cold last night. I got up sort of about 11 o'clock, and yeah, the completely clear night. The stars were just putting on one hell of a show. Because you're sort of tucked in the hills here, I suppose, there's no sort of light pollution, so you get to see nature as it is intended. And it was yeah, just sat out here for about an hour, just complete awe, like oh my god. It was yeah, the whole sky was lit up. It was beautiful to sit and watch. But in terms of fish activity, very quiet for me. I've seen sort of nothing this side of the lake, not a beep last night. I got up sort of first light this morning. There was a couple of shows right down the bottom end where matey's gone opposite me in that pod. To his left there's a big bay, and I saw a couple of fish sort of smash out there earlier this morning, sort of first light. But this side of the lake I've seen nothing really, very quiet. But you never know, morning bite, it's only just gone 7:30, but I'm hoping the sun will sort of turn up in a bit and burn this mist and fog off and sort of warm us up again. So of course today is fishery tour day, so in a few hours time we'll be reeling in the rods and then running around the whole venue showing you all the other pods, areas of the lake, facilities, things like that, and just showcasing the fishery that is Spring Rock for you. The reeds at the moment are alive with frogs. I think they've all turned up on their sort of Tinder dates, and yeah, they're all having a good time in the reeds at the moment. So I imagine there'll be a load of tadpoles hatching in the next few weeks. The fish will be gorging on them, so if I was here in a few weeks time, I'll be definitely on the little tiny black zigs, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of tadpoles for them to be eating. But until now, in this moment, I'm going to give it another sort of 2-3 hours, and then we'll start this fishery tour for you. So until then, I'm going to carry on drinking my first cup of tea of the day, crossing my fingers, my toes, in a hope that we get a morning bite. If not, we will see you on the fishery tour. Hear me. Hopefully the sound is working on the mics, but we've just had the take on the right hand rod, which is basically the area we put out yesterday with that mix just off those reeds, and we've had a little violent take. So this is the one that we had the two little link wafters on, fishing over that mix. And yeah, I wasn't expecting this actually. Did see a sort of a little bosh earlier, but left the rod where it was, and obviously that fish or fish that were in the area have moved on to that sort of baited patch. And yeah, fingers crossed we can get this one in for you. That'd be really nice, because I was just about to reel in to start the fishery tour. And yeah, a most welcome take. So fingers crossed. It's absolutely going mental down the right here. Oh, that's a lovely scaly one. Absolutely lovely looking fish. Come on, sunshine. This way, this way, this way. Yes, and he's in the net. Oh, what an absolutely awesome result. Yes, mega, absolutely mega. Happy with him. In terms of scales, have a look at that. What an absolute belter. A cracking, lovely Spring Rock mirror. And yeah, you couldn't paint a better mirror, could you? That is absolutely fantastic. Over the moon with him. And yeah, just keeping the faith in that sort of baited spot that we put out yesterday. It's come good this morning. So yeah, talk about timing. I was literally just about to reel the rods in. So yeah, happy days indeed. So thank you very much, little man. I will spin this creature around and show you the other side of him, and he's just as pretty the other side. Absolutely mega little thing. Here is the other side of the first fish from Spring Rock. But yeah, check that beastie out. Happy with him. He is mega, isn't he? What a beautiful, stunning little carp. And they go another sort of, well, they're just under 30 pound in here, so hopefully we can pick one of his big or brother or sisters up later today. But without further ado, we'll get this little fella back, and rods are in now, so we'll get cracking on the fishery tour and show you the rest of this awesome fishery that is Spring Rock. Well, here we go guys, the start of the fishery tour. So once again, as yesterday, the sun has made an appearance. It's quite warm again now, back into a t-shirt, shades are back on, and yeah, it's all good. But over the moon to get a fish under me belt just a short while ago. Really lovely little mirror. So the fishery tour itself, so just to give you an idea, I'm sitting in pod number 3. I've got pod 1, which is right opposite me, and then pod 2 is just to my right hand side here. What we're going to do now is probably start at the beginning, pod number 1. Let's nip round there, show you what that pod's like, what water that commands, and some of the features in that swim. So let's go and have a wander to pod number 1. Right guys, so here we are at pod number 1. Now this was the very first pod that was put up on the fishery here at Spring Rock. There is someone actually fishing at the moment, so you never know, we might even get a live bite on film as well. So the pods themselves, with all 3 that are on the venue, you get a fridge, you get a heater, and you get a TV as well. It's plenty big enough for 2 bed chairs. Even if you've got the sort of wide boy bed chairs, loads of room inside for you to house, you know, all your equipment and your gear and cooking stuff, all like that. So yeah, plenty of room in the pods themselves. Now, pod 1 area, plenty to go at as well in this swim. You've got 2 islands. You've got one to the left hand side, which is like a small round one. You've got a long island to the right hand side. There's open water. The beauty of this swim as well, you've got 2 bays left and right, so it's a sort of perfect idea where you can walk down the actual margins itself, drop the rig in, handful of bait over it, and then walk the rod back to the actual pod itself. If you don't fancy doing that, you want to cast a bit further, you can actually walk around the other side, Just to this big bay on the left hand side here, there's a lovely sort of reed lined bank. Again, an area you can walk round, handful some bait in, sort of 6 foot off the sort of bank itself, and then cast over to it. So great little swim left, and also on the right hand side as well, you've got the same sort of features, the massive long bay. To be fair, if someone's in pod 2, you've probably got half of that bank, just so it keeps it fair for everyone who's fishing here when they're booked on. In terms of sort of depths of the water that you've got to as well, left hand side, or this left hand bay, this is what they call the shallower part. Now you've probably got sort of 4.5 foot, maybe 5 foot in areas, but that's the sort of predominant shallow area. And then the bay to the right hand side, that is a bit more deeper. You've got sort of 6s and 7s down that side with little tiny holes. It does go down to about 7 foot, but predominantly you've got that sort of 6 foot average over to that right hand bay itself. So yeah, there you go, plenty to go at. Open water, margins, islands, reeds, you name it, pod 1 has definitely got it. So I'm going to grab the camera now and we'll head round to pod 2 and show you what that one's got to. So here we are, swim number 2, or pod number 2 should we say, and once again just a stack of features and possibilities to go at. You know, I'm sitting here now looking out, I'm thinking, my days, there's so many options here. So we'll start off just panning to the left hand side. You've got a lovely big bay down there as well. Once again, it's all reed lined, easy to get to, easy to cast to. Same as pod 1, you can walk your baits down, drop it in, handful of bait over the top and walk your rod back to your pod itself. So that is the deeper part of the pool to the left from the sort of look of pod 2. So you've got your sort of 6s and 7s down in this bottom corner here. Straight out in front of you, if you have a look now at the drone footage there, you've got the big long island. You've probably got about 40 foot of island there, and that's again once all sort of reed lined. I'd be quite happy putting a rod up against there and on the ends as well. You know, you've got the both left and right of the island of that as well. Straight to the right hand side of this swim, you've got open water. There's quite a hard area in there, straight out in front. And the owner said there's a big clear area where they sort of compacted the ground, so it's very hard out there. You'll get a good presentation, you know, a good feel down on there. There's no weed out there whatsoever, it's as clean as a whistle. And then just to the right hand side, you've got a baby little island there as well. Again, a few little reeds poking off the end of it, and as I said before guys, with the islands here, they're not tapered, they're sort of shelved quite sharpish, if that makes sense. So what the owners here wanted, we didn't want lots of growth coming off the island, so where the reeds finish, it literally goes straight down from there. So if you're clipping up to the island, you'll be fishing on the bottom of the actual slope, if you like, or as that sharp slope. So yeah, as you can imagine, everyone baiting up to the island, all that bait's going to just roll down and sit in that bottom gully. So yeah, clip it. Obviously islands are a patrol route for carp. I'll be fancying my chances off one of the islands here. And again, you've got a lovely tiny little bay to your right hand side here as well from pod 2. Again, it's that walking your rods down, dropping it in, handful of bait over the top. But you know, in terms of spots and areas, there is loads to choose from here at pod 2. Yeah, fantastic little area and lots to go at, and you know, that scenery as well. I'm looking over there at Welsh mountains, forests, sheep. It's just beautiful, it really is. You know, to be waking up to this every day, away from the world, away from the rat race, just a proper chill out place. That is the vibe I'm getting from Spring Rock Fishery. Come here to get away from everything and proper relax with a chance of a carp or two. Beautiful. Pod number 2. And so guys, that leaves the last sort of pod of the venue, which is the one I'm nested in, which is pod number 3. And again, to be fair, I've sort of run you through a few areas that I'm fishing. Obviously there's the one that we had the fish from, which is just to the right hand side. I will say that right hand side bank, it does cut back quite a fair bit. Where the actual pod is, the bank cuts behind the pod itself. If you have a look at the drone shot there, you'll see how much the bank sort of cuts back behind the pod. And again, there's loads of reeds in there. They've grown out probably a good 1.5 meters from the bank, and it's definitely a place that, you know, the fish will get in here and sort of sit for a while, especially being quite shallow here. Especially days like today, there's no doubt we're going to have a few carp sort of mooching into these corners here. Again, going up that reed line, obviously you've got the area where I've had the fish from earlier. I'll just mark that on the drone shot now with the X. That is where we had the bite from. And again, I'll be doing the same later, running round, bit of bait out and then casting over to it. I've got open water to the right hand side of the swim. I've got the baby island right in front of me as well. Again, I'll be just clipping those reeds. And then also another option to the left hand side of the pod itself, you've also got a lovely little bay there as well, sort of close, intimate fishing. But I've been told the fish do get in there, and you know, guys in the past who have fished pod 3 have had quite a few fish from that area. So again, you know, loads and loads of scope to go at. Pod 3, I'm in, I'm loving it. One area of the lake now I need to show you, which is on the right hand bank, which is where, if you fancy staying in your bivvy, you can go and bivvy up there and fish from that side. So let's grab the camera, get round to there and have a look at the bivvy bank. And so guys, here we are, the last area of Spring Rock. We're on the grass bank. Now this is the longest bank of the area itself. This is the bank they sort of left for the bivvy guys. If you don't fancy the pods, then this is the area for you bivvy dwellers. I will say, if the pods are not booked out and there's no bookings the following day, have a word with Andy. He'll allow you to bivvy up next to the pods and fish to those sort of features and areas that we talked about earlier in the film. Now in terms of this bank, if it was me personally, this is the longest bank of the actual lake itself. It's completely reed lined from right to left. I'll be literally poking through the reeds, lowering the rod, sitting on my hands and then bivvying up right back out the way. You know, there's a lot of fish that cruising up and down this line now. This is where you pick the fish on. If there's no one in the pods opposite, then obviously you can go a bit further, fish out into open water, to the backs of the islands and things like that. But predominantly, it's a close quarters sort of swim here on the bivvy bank. So yeah, that is sort of the whole sort of fishing area of Spring Rock. Now in terms of what you're fishing for, you've got 80 fish here in sort of 1.5 acres. So it's a good head of fish in the size of the lake that it is. They range from sort of £14 up to high 20s. We're told this year, hopefully, they should have a couple of fish push past that 30 barrier. With the feeding programme that's in place now, plus the anglers' baits, there's no doubt this venue will get its first 30-pounder this summer. I have no doubt about that. Now, in terms of sort of facilities here at Spring Rock, if you fancy a freshen up and a shower and a good wash and a shave and all the rest of it, literally 30 seconds walk, guys, just over the hill here. It's all on the same complex. There's a shower room, toilets, wash basins, all like that, to have a proper freshen up. If you're halfway through your stay and you're feeling a bit minging, you can go and have a freshen up. On the lake itself, there is a small portaloo. If you get caught short in the night, you can head to the portaloo and use that one as well. In terms of things in the area, if you fancy reeling in and heading off for a Sunday dinner or a decent pub grub, there's literally a pub within walking distance just down the road as well. Other than that, you are just surrounded by completely beautiful countryside. You know, since I've been here, there's goats in the next field, there's horses, there's sheep. It's just everything that the rat race is not. You know, this is a place to come, recharge the batteries, get away from the modern day stresses, enjoy a bit of the Welsh countryside and some wicked fishing as well. That is the awesome Spring Rock. So without further ado, I'm waffling. I need to get back to the swim, get the rods out, and I hope we can nick one before we go. Got to be on my toes early tomorrow morning. So let's hope we can get another one out for the cameras. Well, good morning folks, and welcome to another beautiful, calm morning here in the Welsh countryside. As I'm sure you've noticed, there is a rod missing from the pod, and yeah, it's because it's resulted in a beautiful little common that's tanked off about sort of 10 minutes ago. So I've got to be on my toes in an hour's time, so to have a goodbye bite from here is fantastic. He's just sitting in the net having a rest while I drink me brew. I actually lost one last night as well, just before, about an hour before dark. The left-hand rod, the one we put next to the island, that absolutely ripped off. I've got the bite on film as well, but unfortunately after sort of a minute's play, that popped off. I brought the rig back in and whatnot, didn't discharge the lead. The hook point was absolutely perfect, so I think I've got a great hook hold, and unfortunately that's dropped off for me. So I thought I'd missed my chance. I was absolutely gutted, but yeah, more than made up for it this morning with that first light bite. So yeah, buzzing, absolutely well happy. So I'm going to finish drinking the first cup of tea of the day, start getting my stuff together, and then we're heading for home. But before we do that, we'll grab the little belter and we'll show you the prize from this morning's bite. Right, so here we are. There he is, check him out. An absolute beautiful bar of gold from Spring Rock. What an amazing goodbye present. Like I say, I'm on my toes in half an hour now, and yeah, to get one to go home with is amazing, absolutely amazing. He's got quite a few leeches on in this one, so I think the fish we've been seeing smashing and crashing out, it's probably what this one here, cleaning themselves down from their winter slumber. Yeah, because he has got a few leeches dotted here and there, so but yeah, over the moon to get this one after losing that one yesterday. So yeah, buzzing, absolutely buzzing. The big sun is just about to come out over my shoulder as well, so awesome. So happy. I've had a wicked time here. I hope you enjoyed the tour as well, guys, and I've sort of showcased Spring Rock Fishery in all its glory for you. So if you fancy having a go here yourselves, if you want to get over to the App Store now or online, type in Go Catch Fish, get yourself an account. You can book on through the app itself now, and you can book yourself, like I say, one of those pods or on the Bivvy bank, and you can come and have a nice little breakaway in the Welsh countryside, catching beautiful fish like this. Mega, he's mega. Right, I'll just show you the other side of him and then we'll get him back. And there is the other side. So yeah, he's got his face in the sun now. But yeah, that's it from me. I'm going to get this one back, get my gear packed up, and head for home. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you on the next one. Thanks a lot. See you soon.